Today we sat down with Bethel Men's College basketball coach Jayson Artaz. We dove into his life story as well as the current state of collegiate athletics. We hope you enjoy this one.
Awesome. Well, Jayson, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. I'm glad we could finally make it work.
Yeah, a couple little adjustments. I unfortunately forgot my anniversary for Monday, so thought that my wife wouldn't appreciate me coming on here on Monday night. So I appreciate you guys being flexible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll play second fiddle to your wife.
yeah. She's probably barely ahead of you guys at this point. It depends on how she treats me during the week, so you never know.
Awesome. I wanted to start this. 18 to 22 is a unique age period to coach. They come into your program as kids, then leave as men when they graduate. How satisfying is it to see guys come in young and then mature year over year?
Yeah, I think we talk about it every year because, and I even think back when I was in college, I'm sure, Eric and everybody else, like you look at how you were as a freshman and just the maturity level you get to as a senior. We talk about that with every guy that comes to the program. I think you just see a massive amount of growth. It's like when you get there, it's like, holy cow, like this guy can't get up for class. This guy can't get his homework done. This guy's late to this and this and this. And then by the time they're seniors, not only are they getting themselves there, they're holding somebody else accountable to get there as well. And so like just seeing that level of growth, the level of leadership, like all the stuff that hopefully allows them to go and be successful after Bethel is a big deal to us. 'Cause I think that's really where you see what kind of a legacy you leave as a coach is what are your players able to do after they get done here. And so we're proud of what our guys have been able to do and go accomplish. We've had a lot of guys that go and super successful and moving up the ranks at whatever job they've taken over and go trying all these great things. Some guys are idiots and get into coaching, which I think I would discourage them from. But yeah, I think every time that you see it, it's cool. We'll have some seniors this year. It's like, man, these guys couldn't do anything right, and then now they are like an example to every guy younger than them. And it's cool to see that maturity level from all of those guys, and satisfying, I think, for me just as a coach and trying to get those guys on the right path.
Cool. Where did it start for you? When did you decide you wanted to get into coaching?
Oh man, well, so I grew up. Both of my parents were coaches. My dad coached girls basketball, volleyball at like my 1A high school that I went to, and then my mom was his assistant. Which now knowing what I know, I don't know how that works because my mom's pretty opinionated, I would say, and so I can't imagine if I had my wife with me all day trying to coach. Through all these situations, I get pissed off at Eric every once in a while, and I think, man, if this is my wife, she would let me have it as soon as we got out of practice. So, but I think it all like started there. We're just watching them every day. Like sports was just a massive part of our lives. I mean, it was something that's just what we do. We'd go to the gym. My dad would rebound for me every night, and I'd shoot. I'd get ground balls, whatever else it was, whatever sport I was playing. So it started there. I played basketball at Bethel in the early 2000s.
Are you from here?
No, I'm from Kansas, but I'm Western Kansas. It's Burdett, 250 people. So like know everybody and the vehicle that they drive and their favorite pig, I think is how that town works a little bit. But I think like growing to Bethel was a step up in like size of city, which is hard to believe that Newton is like, oh my gosh, it's got a Walmart. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how good is this, and having a little bit of that. And I played, and when I got done playing, I think I dedicated my life so much to like basketball and all that kind of stuff. I was not really like motivated to coach. I went and I taught fourth grade in Greensburg, which that was the year the tornado rolled through. So
wow,
crazy. Another side to this story of just kind of where it ended up is I was coaching a little bit out there, assistant middle school coach, teaching fourth grade. I'm in Wichita. All of a sudden we hear, man, there's a really bad storm going to Greensburg. There's a tornado down. We're watching the news and we hear the tornado hits the town. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we go jump in the car and we drive back and we're hearing all this reports about damage and all this stuff. And you know how the normal storm stuff is going. And you're not sure what you're going to see, going back into Greensburg. And we went in, they had the roads blocked off, so we had to go and find like a country road to kind of get into town. We go find my house. My house basically had the roof kind of torn off, but it was still standing. And two houses to the west of that, and every other house in town was demolished. So like I am 500 feet from like houses all completely gone and all that stuff. And the town, like I went over to my friends' house all the time that I taught with and all these things, and I could find their house, I thought, blindfolded. The town was so destroyed that like I could not figure out where they lived. Like you can't tell, there's no markers to know what street is what street anymore. I mean, it is if you wiped every building off the map, and then all of a sudden you got to walk down a street and say, oh, this is the street that this is on. It's just hard to do. And so we're walking around town. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's hundreds of people have to have died. Like just the amount of destruction there. And so walk around, we're up all night long trying to help with all the cleanup and whatever else. And, but then long story short, my wife and I are getting married, that summer. So this now, instead of living in Greensburg, and she's also an elementary teacher, she's looking for a job at the time, trying to get that all figured out. I'm already teaching, so we're asking Greensburg. Greensburg doesn't have anything for her. She interviewed at another place, 20 minutes away. They didn't have anything for her. And so it is looking like, man, like before it's like we can make it work. You can figure out something and we'll still live in Greensburg. But now I'm telling my wife, who's from Denver, and the population of Greensburg is 1,000. It's pretty small. And now not only are we not going to live in a house, we're going to live in a FEMA trailer, living in Greensburg. So trying to tell her that was going to be difficult. And I just knew how hard that would be on both of us. Like she's not going to know anybody there. It's going to be difficult, transition, whatever else. So then I'm hearing rumors of, hey, we might consolidate schools. There might not be jobs. If you're not a tenured teacher, you might not have a job. Like if we combine with Haviland, who is next door, in which they're actually combined now, you might not have a job. So I'm thinking, well, shoot, like I'm not going to sit around here and wait for something to happen and try to react to it. I'm going to go and we're going to look for jobs maybe back here closer to Bethel. So I apply at Valley Center, get a job at Valley Center. They offer me the job. To have my interview, I had to go buy new clothes because I didn't have anything to wear to the interview. Because all my stuff was messed up and gross and whatever else. But go there. They offer me the job. My wife, obviously living around here, is going to have an easy time finding an elementary teaching job. And so I'm thinking, all right. So I go tell Greensburg, I say, listen, I don't want to leave. I want to be here. I love it here. But my wife has to have a job. Like I can't expect her to sit in a FEMA trailer all day while I'm out teaching. And she'd go crazy. And so they say, yeah, we don't have anything. I waited. Valley Center gave me basically 2 days and said, we need an answer in 2 days. I waited until the last minute, called them, accepted the job, said, okay, you need to come in, sign the papers. So I go over to, my mom used to live in Mays. So I go down to Valley Center, which is a 10, 15-minute drive, sign the paper, drive home. And as I'm walking in the door, Greensburg calls me and said, don't sign anything. We have a job for your wife. So the difference from where I am now and being a college coach and probably being a 1A high school basketball coach is 10 to 15 minutes, which is amazing for me to think about. It gives me chills every time I think about like where we're at now and how different things could be. So, God, I think, had a plan for us, and I'm really lucky that it all worked out for us and everything else. But so now to go back to your question about kind of how that got me into coaching, I go to Valley Center. I take over a middle school program that Brett Flory is the head high school coach. He's a head coach at Dewbey, one of the best coaches in the state, and just really good coach, has had tons of success there. But at Valley Center, like he wasn't crazy successful just from a talent standpoint, that we didn't have a lot there. But he hires me as a middle school coach. And when he hired me, he said, if you win one game this year, like we should put a statue of you outside the building. So and I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you guys were the same way, but when you're young, you're pretty confident in everything that you are doing. And I'm thinking, listen, man, like I will coach these guys to 500 without a doubt. Like we will get there. And I wish I had like a storybook ending. We went 0-15. Did not win a single game. Absolutely, miserable season. Very humbling as a coach. So those kids then move on to high school. We get a new group of kids, and the next year we won the league with a completely different group of kids. And so at that point in time, I think my coaching lesson was maybe coaches aren't that important. It's more about the players and that kind of stuff. But I think going through that middle school, the struggle of losing every game and trying to figure it out, being around like the middle school kids too was awesome. Like great kids to coach in my time there. And I think that's when like I kind of got the bug for like coaching and just wanting to say, hey man, this is awesome. So then head middle school for 5 or 6 years, went an assistant high school job at Valley Center, then got moved up to that. And then my old college, one of my college roommates from Bethel just got the Bethel job and basically said, hey, I want you to come on as my assistant. I'm thinking, holy smokes, like I'm going to be teaching all day. I'm going to drive to practice from 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 or even 8 to 10 sometimes, and then have to grade papers, get lesson plans ready in the morning, and recruit on top of that. And so
not much going on.
No. Luckily, we did have my daughter I was telling you about, where we didn't get any sleep at the same time that this was all happening. So that's why.
Wife.
Yeah, my poor wife indeed. So I feel bad for her, but we took over when I was an assistant. My first year as an assistant, we took over. Bethel was 0-30. And they had not had a season that they were above 500 since I was a player there, which was 10 years at that time. And then I was an assistant there. We still never cracked the 500, but we at least got to the point where we're respectable, which is a big climb out of the cellar at that point. And so then the Tony Hoops, who was the head coach at the time, he took the athletic director position, tried to coach for a year, and that's just too much to handle. And that's a lot. And so he kind of talked to me at Christmas time and said, listen, I don't think I can do this anymore. I want you to take over the program and coach, be the head coach. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do this. And then speaking of my wife here, I'm telling her this, hey, we got this idea. I'm going to go be the head coach at Bethel. I'm kind of thinking about doing it. And she says, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Like, you need to just keep your teaching job. It's safe. It is, being the head coach is going to be super time consuming. You're not going to be able to do this and be here for our family. And I said, well, you know what? I'm doing it. And that was the last time I won an argument. Fun fact, at my house. So it's been 8 years and I'm counting down the days. I might get one here pretty soon, but then got a chance to go just take over the program. And we've had some pretty good success, since we've taken over. And I think every year I've enjoyed it even more, and every year I realize how much I don't know and how much I need to learn about being a coach and a leader and all that good stuff. And so I know that's a really long-winded answer to kind of how I got into coaching and how it all started, but that's a long, crazy road to kind of get me to where I am today. So.
God, man, that's quite the story.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah, something
So you
else.
took over the head coach in 16 or 17?
Yeah, 17. Yep.
And you had been there for how long before that?
I think it's 4 years before that. So I had a little chunk of time as an assistant there. Yeah.
At least you get your feet wet.
Yeah, it was the
not
welcome.
coming in blind.
Yeah, you got to figure out, well, you think about it, I middle school coach, high school coach, I'd never had to recruit. So then if I just go take the head job, like I'm figuring that out on the fly. At least as an assistant, I can kind of figure out, hey, here's what we need to do in recruiting. Here's what we need to look for. Here's what we're, kind of how you build a program. And I luckily could learn from Tony. I think Tony was a really good coach and really good leader with a lot of things that he did. And he's an unbelievable athletic director now. Like, he's a better athletic director than he was a coach, and I think he was a good coach. So, but yeah, it's nice to kind of get a warm up into that before getting thrown into the fire. And then I'd have my own 0-30 season, and my wife would be telling you, I told you not to take that job. So we're lucky to got a little runway there.
You have 30 games.
30 games. Well, it's 28 now. 28 now, and then so it used to be 30, got to drop down to 28, but then you have postseason play on top of that. So
you talked about not playing it safe and taking the job. It's crazy how much you learn and how much growth oftentimes comes from not taking it safe. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this before we started recording. You only live once. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of growth there.
Yeah, and I think it's the easiest thing in the world is to play it safe. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest thing for me is I didn't want to look back in 20 years and be like, oh, damn, that was my one chance to go be a college basketball coach, because nobody's going to hire a coach out of Valley Center to go be a head college coach. Like, this is the one chance you have. Like, even if you go and fail, so you failed. You at least know. And I think the thing that I like about college coaching is I enjoy the pressure and the stress that it comes with. As a high school coach, I think Bill Parcells used this line of basically like, I've got to cook the dinner. I want to at least make sure I can do the shopping for the ingredients. College, you get to do that. If we don't win, 100% on me. Like if we are unsuccessful as a program, it's all my fault. In high school, you can be a great coach, a la Brett Flory at Valley Center, and then it doesn't work out because you just didn't have the talent in those 5 years. Well, now he goes and takes over Dewbey, and they're state contenders every single year. You know what I mean? And it's not like he's a different coach. He's probably improved over the years or whatever else, but I think that's what was cool about like just being a college coach is you get it like just go for it and say, you know what? If I fail, at least it's on me. At least it's my fault. And I can live with that better than getting stuck with a job that maybe isn't a great job that you can't win at, or even if you're a great coach, you go 500 like that. That doesn't entice me very much as far as that goes. I want that pressure of winning and all that stuff. And now, ask Eric on a Thursday after winning a Wednesday game where you get home at 2 a.m. and if I like that pressure, and the answer maybe is no at that point. A lot of caffeine and anger coming out of that office. So those days are tough, but other than that, I've loved it.
When you were a head coach at Valley Center High School, at that point, were you wanting to coach college? Did you have that vision, or is that just an opportunity that presented itself and you took it?
Yeah, so I was an assistant at Valley Center. So my only head coaching experience when I took over a college program was middle school basketball, right? Like that's crazy. But I was an assistant, but I honestly would have never even thought like that was an option. My thing was I'll just teach. I mean, that's what I was. I was a teacher. I loved it. I'll teach and I'll coach and do what my parents did and all that kind of stuff. And so never even gave a thought to college being an option until I was sitting there talking to my college buddy, and I'm just like, well, who are you going to get for your assistant? And he was like, I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it. And well, you want to help out? And I was like, well, shoot, I don't know. Like that's a pretty big step. And now I'm really happy I took it, obviously. So
Sure. Well, the turnaround's been quite impressive. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but under your tenure, 4 national tournaments in 5 years, 5 total national tournaments in the history of the school.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So you took over a program that had struggled for years, like you said. What's something that you had to first fix when you took over that began to really rebuild the program?
Yeah, I think, man, that's such a hard thing to answer in like a one thing. I mean, it's such a buzzword. I know I hate giving like buzzwords and like the slogans but it's like culture was just everything. Like one, like you obviously need culture of good people, but you need people who know how to win. So you got to recruit to winners. You got to recruit to things that, guys that know what it takes to be successful. So we got lucky and we got some guys that were state champions in our first recruiting class. And like that class, like is the class that brought us out of the dark days of Bethel basketball, And I think outside of culture too, a big thing that we really preach is like, we're not just winning for like our team. You have people that played in 1962 that care if you win, right? They're sitting there 80 years old and they're saying they're checking the score of Bethel. And I can say as an alumni, I wasn't proud. When I first got out of college, I played basketball at Bethel like that. And then after they're losing, they're winning 3 games, they're winning 2 games, 0 games. Yeah, I played at Bethel, but back then we were actually okay. You know what I mean? Like and so you almost have that embarrassment of like what it was. And so trying to put that onto our players to understand that like when we play, we have to understand that we are playing for our professor, we're playing for our alumni, we're playing for the people of Newton. Like there's a much bigger, much more at stake than just the people in this room. And I think that as a college athlete, you have a lot of people that care about you that you don't have any idea. We went and played in the Sweet 16 in Kansas City, and we have people showing up that are Bethel grads. We walked downtown San Antonio. Somebody stopped us on the street and was like, hey, Bethel College, I went to Bethel back in 1994. And like those kinds of things are the things that are awesome. And they're like, I know you guys have been doing awesome in basketball. Like they're up to date on all that stuff. And so I think getting our guys to then buy into not just the basketball program, but like the college as a whole is a big step towards success too. Because you need a little bit of that something extra that's going to drive you and because there's going to be times and you don't want to feel like going to practice. You don't want to do all those things. And so trying to set that culture, trying to set that belief and that we can be successful. And then we are competitive maniacs in our practices and in everything that we do. We want guys that are ultra competitive. I don't care if it's a shooting drill. I don't care if it's a walk across campus. You know what I mean? Like there's times like you're going to get into a race across campus just to see who's fastest. Like those are the guys that I think fit us great. And so we had to get kind of that going in the right direction and get that where everybody's just on the same page for what matters. Once everybody gets on the same page, and then you have some really talented players. We had a guy that Division I player. We had a Division I drop down. We had another All-American. So I mean, we had 3 guys that were elite, and then we had really, really good role players that we could fill around them. And all of a sudden, you're pretty good when you got guys like that. So that makes things the turnaround happen pretty quickly.
When you're out on the recruiting trip and like you turn to Eric and say, that's a culture guy, what are you seeing specifically?
I think you can see like a little bit of like that competitive edge. I like that stuff. I like guys that are physical. I love if a guy gets hit in the nose, like, and he doesn't have to sit there and step out of the play and hold it. And like, that is almost an automatic no for me. Like if we're on the recruiting trail and a guy catches an elbow and he lays on the ground, like that is just not my type of guy. I have no sympathy for guys like that. And not to sound like a jerk, but like they're not going to die. They're going to be fine. It's just pain. Like they have to be able to get through that stuff. And so that's a big thing. Just the communication side. We're big on communication, big on body language, all that intangible stuff. And then you got to be able to play. I mean, you're sitting there watching a guy. You got to see like, can he handle the ball? Like what is the skill that he's really good at? Like if you get a player, and I always think about this. Like I used to play this Nintendo game. I know you guys are too young from Nintendo.
Oh, no.
I got a Nintendo sitting on the couch.
Oh, perfect. Little League Baseball, by the way. Little shout out to Little League Baseball. Best Nintendo game ever. But they used to have like your teams, and you have like hitting, fielding, speed, whatever. Like we're looking for players that obviously don't have something where it's like they're terrible in an area, but we want guys that have like that one area that really sticks out. Because if you're just okay at a lot of things, like why do we put you on the floor? You have to have something that makes you stand out. It's maybe your rebounding, maybe it's your passing, maybe it's your ball handling, your shooting, your scoring ability, whatever else it is. But like, we need something that like makes you stand out to us in a way of saying, yeah, we need that on the floor. Because if you just watch a guy play and you're going to watch these we go to Dallas and you watch a tournament in Dallas, and it's like you're going to watch 200 kids play basketball. Like, how do you pick out a guy that's really good? Well, you got to see them do something that you say, man, this is like a really good skill that is going to translate to us. And then I think all good basketball players are good movers. So fluid in their movement, all that kind of stuff. Like they're just good athletes. You see some of those guys that are crazy bouncy, but they're super stiff in how they move. I don't really want those guys either. We want guys that can move well, and you just kind of eyeball and see that a little bit. So, it's an inexact science. I wish I could say we're 100%, and like every guy we get is exactly what we thought. And we've had guys surprise us, and then we've had guys that get here and it's like, oh man, like he's not quite as good as we thought, and he's got to work on some things. And so, very much inexact science, which is why NBA guys, I mean, they spend millions and millions of dollars looking at players, and there's half of the guys drafted probably bust, and then some of the undrafted guys or second round guys end up being all-stars. And so, it is science and art, like it's all wrapped into one, and it's hard to figure out, but we try to find the things that we're specifically looking for and go from there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Nikola Jokic is a perfect example of that. He was drafted in the second round during a Taco Bell commercial.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, they weren't even airing the draft at the time.
Yeah. So I actually have a fantastic Nikola Jokic story about recruiting.
Oh.
So Jared Maccabee, shout out Jared on this. He's going to hate that I am telling this story, but I pulled up his high school film, Jokic's film, and I called Jared over, and he didn't have his name on it or anything. I said, hey, check out this guy. I think this guy's really good. Like, I think we need to get everything we can give this guy. We have got to give it. We got to get him here. And Jared watched him for a little while, and he goes, man, I don't know. I don't really know what you see here. Like, he's not really doing anything. He's not that quick. He had a couple chances to dunk it. He wasn't dunking it. He just doesn't really jump off the map. I feel like he's okay, but he's somebody maybe we need to give him mid-money scholarship offer to. And then I had to break the news to Jared that that's Jokic, and he just won the MVP in the NBA, and so it's like maybe this isn't an exact science, you know what I'm saying? So, but there's guys like that all the time that you look at that maybe a Division I signs. You're like, oh, I feel like maybe he could play here. Then you find out, oh, he's going to a D1, or hey, this guy's really, really good, and then no offers whatsoever. And so like you just have all those weird things. But yeah, NBA guys, you get Jokic that if you went to pick him at the YMCA, you're not going to watch him jog down the court and shoot a jump shot and say, that's the guy we want. But best basketball player on the planet right now, if you ask me. So
Yeah, he's got such a unique game. He's got such a high release.
yeah.
In the mental.
Yeah, his feel for the game.
That's what it is.
Yep.
He
Yep.
sees things that, peak LeBron saw.
Yeah.
Or even better.
Yeah.
He is a magician out there that I don't know if I've ever seen a player like him.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen a player elevate his teammates as much as he does. Think back to like the Olympics. I mean, Serbia had us beat. They had us beat. And you could name 2 players on that team. And then the USA has the best team that we can possibly assemble. I mean, we've got just every big name you can imagine. And Jokic has us down 12 in the fourth quarter. And then we kind of clamped them up on the perimeter a little bit more, pressured them a little bit more. They didn't make some threes they made earlier in the game. And then all of a sudden we erase a deficit in 3 minutes because we've got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron
Right.
James. Like
Right.
those guys can help that happen pretty quickly. But just the fact that game is even a game is just a testament to the greatness of Jokic and what he does with all his teammates. So it's awesome.
Yep.
It's crazy when one player can elevate the other 4 like that.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think the Nuggets' record would be if no Jokic at all? So their roster this year, I don't know how many games they won. Probably 50,
Probably
55, something like that.
Probably not 55.
Yeah.
Probably about 50.
Yeah, and so what is their record then if you take Jokic off?
They're the Wizards.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, they're bad. I mean,
Well, I was just about to say, look at the fact they took OKC to 7 games.
Yeah.
With that roster and
yeah.
Jokic.
They're a lottery team and probably a top half of the lottery team.
Yeah, they're in the flag sweepstakes
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And you're saying, man, you took a team that is probably top half of the lottery, and you took the eventual champions to a Game 7, and in Game 7 they weren't even healthy. So like, if they're healthy, maybe I know there's a blowout, but like maybe it's a close game at least. You know what I mean? And then you get the greatness of Jokic closes out a game with the last 3-4 minutes, and it's like all of a sudden, like we're sitting here saying, "Oh my gosh, the Nuggets are great again," but it's really like Jokic just makes everybody play so much better around him. It's cool to watch. As a basketball guy, like I love players that like elevate like the people around them. That's like such a cool, and I think that's even a life skill. Like at your job, think about like you go to work every day. If there's somebody out there that makes everybody feel good when they come in the office. And there is somebody that's like helping people. Hey, what did you do on this and this and this? Like that's helping people out. Like those people are worth their weight in gold in whatever job they're in. And Jokic is the supreme at it, I think. So,
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, he's great. There's a couple guys like that. He's much like LeBron.
Yeah.
in that,
Like
in that
early
class.
LeBron.
Yeah,
Like 2018 LeBron.
Yeah, that
is,
too.
I think is the best player I've ever seen. In my
Yeah.
opinion, that year of LeBron was ridiculous. When
Yeah.
he scored 50 in the finals of that first game when J.R. Smith blew the layup.
unguardable. But then if you tried to put too many resources to him, then he's getting other guys open shots. So yeah, he's carrying a Cavs team that doesn't belong there.
He and Jokic are the only two that hit that mental level. Because it's more than just being able to be good at the physical part of basketball.
Yeah.
Like those guys separate themselves because they can see a play ahead.
Yeah, and that's one of those like you don't coach that. Like they just kind of have it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's
Experience, probably.
Well, I think there's like I don't know, a Shumpert or something like that was talking about like LeBron saying, "Oh, if he steps this way, you cut," and like the guy steps, he cuts, he gets a layup. Like it's amazing how those guys do that stuff and how early they see it. And yeah, I'm amazed by NBA guys. And think about if you guys watch Summer League at all, like the Summer League.
I caught a little bit.
Okay, so if you watch a game, you would not be impressed by the quality of the game. And that's as close as we have to NBA players, right? Like there's 2 or 3 guys that are going to make a roster on each team. But then you look at the guys that make those rosters and compare them to prime LeBron. Like they're still miles away from LeBron. So like think about how far any NBA player is away from us. Like it's just normal people. Like we're so far they're on another planet compared to what we are basketball wise. So
The size.
Oh yeah.
You just take it for granted watching it on TV.
Yep.
But if you go sit courtside, it's stunning.
Yeah. And I saw like Luka standing next to Travis Kelce, makes him look small. You know what I mean? Like
right.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, they're all 6'8" at least.
yeah.
You know, so it doesn't really
And not
jump out
skinny.
on the screen.
Not skinny
No.
either, besides Chet Holmgren.
And faster
And
than
Wemby.
hell,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Wemby and Chet Holmgren.
Don't be hating on my boy Chet.
Yeah. Eric's a big OKC fan too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always loving him.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything NAIA basketball teaches that Division I can't? Maybe I was thinking maybe NAIA players realize quicker than Division I players that the game is temporary.
Yeah.
That you're not going to be playing forever.
Yeah, I think that's something that you're probably going into that. Most players going into that saying, no, listen, I'm going to play for my 4 years and I'm going to appreciate it because my time after here, I'm not going to do something. Maybe I can make a Europe team, but I'm not going to have an opportunity to like go make millions and millions of dollars at the NAIA level. Like you're going into it with a much different view. I also think NIL has changed a lot in college basketball. If I'm a Division I player, like I'm playing the game, yes, I want to play to win. I want to be a part of a team, all that stuff. But think about what you're doing for you and the family members after you by increasing your value, right? If you make $2 million as a 22-year-old kid and you somehow hang on to most of it, you could create generational wealth just by investing that money. And I'm not an accountant by any means, so you guys can check my math on that. But like at that point, you can go after in that 4-year earning window, you can change your family for generations. So then it becomes a little more difficult to say, yeah, we're really in this for the team. Because if I average 18 versus I average 12, like that might be $200,000. You know what I mean? And so you're battling more of that at the Division I level. And then the loyalty side of things is tough because, and I don't think you can blame these guys. Like if you're a mid-major player and you improve a ton, freshman, sophomore, junior year, maybe your mid-major can give you 120. Duke comes along and says, we'll give you 800. Well, dude, give me a cut of that and I will send you on to Duke immediately. You know what I mean? Like as for you as a coach, you would almost be selfish in trying to keep that kid at that point because what's best for him and his future is probably going to do that. So everything becomes 1-year deals. Everything becomes less about like we're not going to have any college movies made anymore of like, oh, you have this team that came together and it was all this and this and this. Because you don't get the mid-major runs anymore because all the best mid-major players go to the Blue Bloods now and go to the high-level Division I. And so NAIA, you get these teams that grow up together. Mm-hmm. You get these teams that, like, not only are you playing together, like, these are my best friends. These are the guys that I had to go through grueling 6 a.m. conditioning with. These are the guys that I go back and hang out in the dorms with. These are the guys that, are going to be the best men in my wedding. At NAIA level, you get more of that than at the Division I level. Division I levels become so much just about what can I do in my 4-year window? How much can I make? And for good reason. Like I get that. I don't blame them one bit. I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing. I think it's tough with all the transfers, unlimited transfers, and all the money. That's made it kind of crazy to me. But at the NAIA level, you get much more of like that brotherhood vibe year in and year out where these guys are connected for life. And so I think that's probably what I appreciate from NAIA more. And even as a player, I think being at one place for more than 1 or 2 years allows you to improve more as a player because the coaches you're working with are going to know you inside and out. You might not figure out a player for 2 or 3 months, and by the time you figure them out, you get 2 or 3 months to work with them, and then they're transferring somewhere else. And so they keep just losing that time of development, player development stuff, because that transfer stuff. And I think there's just so many. You got to find out what you value as a player and what's important to you. And but I don't know. I'm not trying to say one way is right, one way is wrong. And just each person is different and wants what they want, and kind of got to go for it, I guess.
Do any of the NAIA schools have NIL?
Yeah. There's schools with NIL. I heard it, and I won't say the name of the school, but I know there was an offer for $80,000 for a kid.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's some serious money when you're talking NAIA basketball. And And so their donors and all that stuff were able to raise a bunch of money for these people or this kid. And now he ended up still leaving because he got better money at like high levels. But you still have these schools that are throwing around like serious money for NIL stuff, and that makes it tough to compete. Because I know there's guys that, like, if you're getting NIL and you're a Division I drop down, well, there's an NAI school that had a guy that played at Georgetown, right? Like, they're probably giving NIL money and they're doing something to get those guys, and then they're super successful. They win a lot of games. I mean, you're talented, you're going to win a lot of games, and they're well coached too. It's the NIL world is touching everything. I mean, high school basketball. I heard a story about a small town Kansas kid who going to go to Sunrise and gets high school NIL stuff. Like, I mean, every level of sport now is getting it, and it's been legalized through the high school side of things. So you've got kids in Texas. Like, imagine if you're the number 3 player overall in the country, you're getting paid as a junior in high school to go to a certain school and help them win and all that stuff. And I mean, people want to win. That's really what it comes down to. Sure. People want to win, and the donors, if they really want to win, they're going to pony up a little bit and try to get kids there, and because they enjoy the success. Like we talked about, the guy that was a basketball player in 1962 or whatever, like, those guys want to win. They have maybe some disposable income at this point, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that those teams are successful. And so it's crazy how much the NIL has just changed all that.
Right. It's crazy how many big donors give a shit ton of money when there's no real financial return on investment.
Yep.
They just want to win that bad.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is too, like, it's not a 1-year investment. Like, they're asking you to do that every year. So, hey, give us $400,000 for this guy. And then the next year, okay, you need to get this $400,000 for this guy, but now we got somebody else we're looking at too. And these donors, I think, are they want to win, but then if you give $400,000 for 3 or 4 years in a row and you don't make it past the Sweet 16, are you really going to continue to give that $400,000? I've never had that much money to have to worry about it. I wish I did. I'd love to have that problem. Somebody call me and say, hey, can you give us $400,000? But yeah, I think that as a donor, I mean, you're not getting that direct something in my hands. Mm-hmm. You're getting, I hope my team wins. You know what I mean? And some guys are big enough fans and love it enough and they've got enough money that they need to put somewhere that they can feel like they're getting something out of it. And so that's I can't imagine being in that situation, but it is pretty crazy when you start thinking about all the money that is just changing hands and all that stuff. So.
Right. We had Taylor Eldridge in here a couple days back, and he's the beat writer for Wichita State, and he was saying that it's WSU's kind of going through that right now, where it's like the program wants more money, and the fans are like, well, you got to kind of show us something. You know, there's that give and take. And he also told us, back to the portal and NIL and all that stuff, he said that guys are they're outreaching and getting hit up before the season ends. Mm-hmm. Do you see that at your level? At
our level, from upper levels, we do. So if you have a kid that's a D2, D1 level player playing NAIA basketball, they'll be getting contacted throughout the season, and coaches trying to recruit them the same way they would recruit a JUCO kid, whatever else. Dan Hurley, which I don't know where you guys stand on him, but I think he's the most incredible human being on the planet. I love him.
You can't deny his success.
Yeah. But he was talking about, like, half of his team has already planned on leaving, and it was like Christmas time. You know what I mean? Like, half is leaving, the other half are trying to figure out if they're staying or they're going. Like, and even the half that are leaving, he was like, there's 3 or 4 of them that already know where they're going. So like that's all planned out ahead of time. You have these agents, because it's not even the kid listening to all this. They hire agents now, and these agents go out and they're just constantly fielding calls. Hey, you need a shooting guard? I got this kid over here. He's at Ball State, and he's shooting 40% from 3. Like, if you really want him, like, tell us what you're going to give him. And like, you got that planned out the whole year. So this kid's playing for Ball State for the year, but he knows after this I'm going to get a payday. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think that's fairly common practice. I hate it. And I would never do it personally, which is, I just think it feels like disingenuous, I guess. But you're talking, you're going behind a coach's back, and then you're trying to act like you care about other people or whatever else. But if you don't do it at the high levels, you're going to get fired. Like you're trying to get that stuff going, and your success depends on your recruits. And the best line I heard about that was Nick Saban. He said the only thing he hates more than recruiting is having bad players. He didn't use the word bad, but it's something along those lines. So, and I think that's what every coach is sitting there saying. I don't want next year to be a bad year because I didn't try to get in touch with these kids before other people. You know what I mean? And so I think it's pretty common at this point, especially at the higher levels.
Man, that feels like dirty business.
Yeah.
What do you do if you catch wind of that? Like something's going on with one of your players. I wonder what the protocol is there.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a real great protocol for it. We probably just talk to him and say, listen, I heard so-and-so said you had a call from somebody. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, I just want to know what's going on in your head. Like, all we ask, and we tell our players, like, we will give you honest feedback on anything you ask, 100% truth. And we want the same thing from you. And so we ask, like, we'll have those conversations. We had a guy that I said, he got recruited throughout our season. He was a senior. He had his COVID year, so he's going to go take an extra year somewhere. And we're telling him, like, D1, we are helping you. I'm sitting on Zooms with College of Charleston. TCU, like, drove or flew up here to watch him play a game. Brad Underwood at Illinois called about him. So, pretty elite level player. And he's going through all of this stuff. But he had the year before, like, I got wind. Somebody, a JUCO coach I know, called me and said, hey, I heard Jalen Scott's leaving. I haven't heard that at all. So they're down lifting weights. And listen, we got a first-team All-American on our hands. There's nothing that makes you sweat faster than being a head coach and realizing your first-team All-American might be leaving. So I pulled him right out of weights. I just had him come to the office and said, hey, just heard this rumor that you might be leaving. He's like, no, I love it here. Like, I want to be here. I'm like, okay, that's all. That was the last time we ever talked about it. But that could go completely different. Like, he's a super loyal guy when it comes to that stuff. I think very thoughtful is what he was like. And he was just talking about like developing as a player. Like, he can be more of a main guy here and develop his whole game versus like he's just going to go be a defender at like a Division I school or something like that. And he knew that with his COVID year he'd still be able to play, the extra year. So he decided to stick around. Luckily, but yeah, that's a scary conversation when your best players are doing that. And I think anymore, your best players are always testing the waters. You just assume they are. And you assume that they would love to hear any conversations that are happening. But we have been crazy lucky. Our best players that we've had have had opportunities and not taken them to this point. And I think it's culture, it's relationships. It's just so much about what you do on a daily basis. Like, if they're going to leave and they want to go D1, it better be a good D1 program. You know what I mean? If I kid, there's like going to go D1. Listen, man, like, go for it. You can make some money, get a better chance maybe to go play professionally, go to the NCAA tournament, whatever else it is. Like, I don't think you can hold that from a player. But we've been very fortunate to have our guys want to stick around at Bethel, which I think is definitely not normal. And so we're pretty fortunate to have really good people that we coach here. So.
That's great. I remember watching him, and because Eric was always telling us about him. And I watched you guys at Friends play once, and yeah, he was fantastic. Then I watched him in the tournament. He played in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
how cool is that?
Oh, that was probably one of the coolest things in my coaching career was watching him. And then Stan Van Gundy said something like, "If you want to watch, how to play defense, put on tape of Jalen Scott." And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, now he did kind of piss me off because they kept just saying NAIA school. I was like, dude, just say Bethel. Just help us with recruiting for 2 seconds, But still, it was awesome. Jalen had a late foul on a 3 in that game against San Diego State. That was the year that San Diego State went to the championship game.
Right.
They called some BS foul on Jalen contesting a 3 that I didn't think was a foul at all, and it was very like controversial. So after the game, they're like talking about the call and they're showing Jalen so you just see that and it's like, man, like these big people you see on TV all the time are talking about like our guy. Like how cool is that? Like it is one of the best experiences. Like just seeing him have that success and just I loved it for him. I thought it was great.
What was it like recruiting him? Did you have an idea?
I thought he would be good. I don't think I thought he would be that good. And I don't think I don't even know if he knew he could be that good, to be honest. Because he played at Allen High School in Texas, which Allen High School, if you don't know, like their football stadium is like.
I think Kyler Murray went there.
Yeah, he did.
It's a football powerhouse.
Yeah,
And maybe
football
a basketball,
powerhouse.
but-
He played there, and they won state in 6A basketball. So they're beating guys going to UCLA, guys going to Texas, like all this. Well, Jalen is probably the 4th or 5th best player on that team. He's averaging like 8 a game. He rebounds. He plays the 5 because they didn't have any size.
Oh, wow.
So he's playing the 5 at like 6'4". And they just spread it out and made teams come guard him and all this stuff. But we thought, like, talking to his coach was like, best leader I've ever had. He is a winner. Like, you know the stuff, that question you asked earlier, like, what are we trying to do to change, like, what we're doing?
Yep.
That was it right there. And so watching him play, I'm like, this dude's a real deal. But what I think sold me the most on him, and this is what I'm still teaching. So I'm an assistant, and I'm his, like, lead recruiter through the whole process. And we kind of find out at Christmas or whatever, tell him that I'm going to be the head coach now. And luckily he decided to still come for some reason. But he came up on a visit. Him and his mom pull up at 10 o'clock at night. I have school the next day. I wanted to see this kid work out. Like, I couldn't be there during the visit day the next day because of school. I go up to the gym. We work out from 10 to about 11:30. He's out of the car, 5.5 hour drive, out of the car, laces up his shoes, takes a couple practice shots, and then just absolutely has a monster workout. Like, he's trying to dunk it all the time. He shot the ball, which Jalen was not known for shooting. Shot the ball great in his workout. But what I loved is most kids in that situation, they would come out of the car, and the first thing that they're going to tell me as a coach is, yeah, I'm good, man. My legs are real stiff and all. And they would slowly build in excuses. He got out of that thing and said, let's have a workout. Like, let's get after it. Like, he was ready to go and, like, chomping at the bit to work out. And to me, that was like, holy cow, like, this guy thinks differently than everybody else. And that was what really sold me on him. And, you know, we went down to the Final Four, had an in-home visit with him for on the way back from San Antonio that year. I believe that was the year Villanova hit 48 threes against KU and blew KU out. It was a little depressing down there for a little bit. But
I remember that.
But we were coming back through and stopped and did a little in-home visit with him. And, man, just really tried to sell him on, like, listen, like, you've been a good player at Allen, but you've been overshadowed. Like, you've had these guys above you. We want you to come and be someone that can completely change a program. And I think he's very much like a relationship guy, a challenge guy. Like, if you challenge him, like, he will kill himself to win. You know, and I think that's the best thing you can say about anybody. And so, like, so then he kind of heard that. We talked. And then he said, yep, I'm ready to sign. And so we signed him in his in-home, and the rest was history after that. So I was jacked in the car, driving out of there, and just saying, man, well, I think we got a really good player. And then every day that we coached him, oh my gosh, he does even that. He can do this. Oh, he can do that. Like, he has the LeBron, like, being able to see the court thing. You know what I mean? Like, anticipation stuff, like the stuff that you can't even see. Like, that's how he's better than you think. And he was a late grower, like, as far as, like, his height. Like, he was 6'4" coming in, and we had him come. He literally couldn't dunk a basketball in the summer before his freshman year. Like, he was trying to dunk, and he missed 20 of them. And I kept giving him a hard time about how he couldn't jump and how he wasn't athletic and all this and whatever else.
Him and me both.
Yeah. I told him we had the same amount of dunks that day. So, but then by the time he's a senior, he's like 6'6", put on 25 pounds of muscle.
Dunking.
Heads at the rim, like, just tearing the rim off, like, completely looks like another human being. And so when you combine, like, his work ethic and all that stuff with the fact that he's a late bloomer and the fact that he's a crazy leader and competitive and driven, all that stuff, like, that's when you get somebody that's, like, super special like that.
That's great. Typically, what are your best teams that make deep runs? What do they have in common? Is there anything you notice that?
Yeah, I think in general those teams trust each other a lot. When someone makes a mistake, you don't see a bunch of people getting pissed off and throwing their hands up, whatever else. The teams that we weren't as good, you saw more of that. You saw less of the trust. You saw, like, I need to do this myself. Like, And it's not because they don't want to win. They all want to win. They all want to win. They want to be competitive, but they want to be the reason why we're winning. With the really good teams, guys are okay with somebody else being the reason we won today. It's okay. Like I use Jalen as an example. He had a game where he took like 4 shots. He's a first-team All-American. He's taking 4 shots, but he is just distributing the ball to everybody else, and everybody else is getting theirs. And he's perfectly fine with that. He's like, I didn't need to shoot today. Like, for us to win, I needed to get these guys the basketball. And I think the teams that we've had, I thought last year's team was maybe the most enjoyable year I've had coaching. The group that we had last year was super connected. They were the most fun to be around. Like, they were like they all got along. Like, we never had, and in college basketball, you get those practices where guys get chippy and all that kind of stuff. And we got chippy and guys got into it, but it was never anything that like was personal and then carried over to the locker room. And the teams that we haven't been very good, that stuff carries over. There's guys that have animosity to somebody because they have their minutes or they have their shots or their role's not as big as they want it to be, or because so-and-so said this to me one day. Like, I think you get that. So the teams that we've had that have been great have obviously talent isn't non-negotiable there, but they've just meshed and clicked well, and they all like were in it together. Like, there's just that sense of like, man, everybody here would like do whatever it takes to make sure somebody else has a good day. I think that's something that we saw, and then they're tough as nails. I think if you're going to win a conference championship, you're going to win tournament games, you better be able to win a game, several games throughout the year that you don't deserve to win because you didn't play your best, but you found a way to win. And that's what those like really good teams that we've had is they just find a way to win. And whatever it took, they were willing to do it. Diving on the floor, the bloody nose stuff. Like, that's something that you have to have. You have to be able to pay like the ultimate prices for success, because everybody wants success, but not everybody wants to make the decision that it takes to actually be successful. And so
for sure,
those good teams, I think, all did those things each year. So,
how do you weigh talent versus mindset when you're out on the recruiting trail?
That is tough. That is honestly really hard, because you watch a kid play and you maybe don't. I think you need to be around a kid for a little while before you really determine like mindset, and you can talk to their coaches and all that kind of stuff. We have a kid right now. His name's Dominic Harris. Where when we recruited him, if you would have told me he would have played as a freshman, I would have told you were crazy. Like, we told him in the recruiting process, listen, man, you're probably not going to play as a freshman. Like, it's going to take you a year or two before you're going to be ready. And he gets here, and his mindset is unbelievable. Very similar to Jalen Scott's like mindset kind of thing. Like, he's the guy that they lost intramural volleyball, and he's like pissed off and won't talk to his friends because they were screwing around and not taking it seriously enough. You know what I mean? Like, and those kinds of people tend to just create success. But like, you see it after spending 2 weeks with them, but it's like hard in the recruiting trail to really see if they have it. We try to do pretty good research on these guys. We talk to them a lot. If I have a player that I talk to a couple times and I just don't like him, then we're done recruiting him. I think like, if I already don't like you, 2 or 3, no matter how talented you are, 2 or 3 phone calls in, you're saying some things that I'm just like, I just don't enjoy this person. I think we just move the other way. And so we try to just talk to them as much as possible, make sure they're going to be a good fit, make sure they're going to be good on campus. We don't want to bring somebody that brings negative light to the program, all that kind of stuff. But from a mindset perspective, you want it. The number of people that probably have exactly what you want is very, very minimal. And so you almost find that out retroactively after you bring them in. Like, you hear it from people, but I don't, there's a lot of high school coaches that'll tell you one thing about a kid. Yeah, he's real tough. He plays real hard. And you get him in your program, and it's like your definition of toughness and hard. Maybe he does that for you, but like, our definition is much different than that. And so it ends up being something different. But you just try to do as much research as you can on it. I don't think we ever want to make concessions for talent. Not yet, at least in my career, where it's like, man, he's really, really talented, but he's kind of he's got this red flag or whatever else it is. Like, we want the guys that have it all. Like, we want the guys that are the and guys and not the but guys, is what we say. And that they have this and they are great people. Like, they are this instead of they are great players, but you got to put up with X, Y, Z. And you'll take some risks on guys occasionally, but I think most of the time, the best thing I heard about that is projects tend to stay projects. Where if they're a project coming in, they're probably going to continue to be a project. They're not going to just make this life-altering flip around. Now, they can be a little immature. They can do a little bit of this and this, and you can help them with those things. But if it's like too far gone, like you're not saving them. And I think I owe it to our players to try to vet that process out too. Because imagine if you're one of our players and you guys like each other, you like the program, and I bring in 3 guys that are just the biggest pricks in the world, and you just can't stand them. And all of a sudden, it's a toxic culture. And it only takes a couple of them to do it, and it happens fast. And so we've got to try to be really careful with just like who we bring in. And I think that recruiting-wise, we're very honest with guys, probably brutally honest. Like we don't sell them on things. Just try to tell them what it's going to be like, what our expectation is of them, and hopefully their mindset is good that they'll agree to what we've kind of laid out, what we expect from our players, and go from there. So not perfect by any means. We prefer the mindset, but you still have to be a player. You could be the greatest person and the hardest worker in the world. If you're 5'7", 250, you're probably not going to be a great basketball player. So we got to have a little bit of the other things too.
True. That and versus but, I've never heard that. That's a great philosophy, especially in your guys' field.
Yeah, for sure. It's huge. And then there's some coaches that can handle the guys that are the butt guys, and they're okay with yelling and screaming at each other at practice and all this kind of stuff. And that's not my way of coaching, I think. And I think as a coach, you have to know who you are. If you guys are like a boss someday and you got people working underneath you, like you have to lead how you want to lead, not like how your boss that you used to have like leads. You know what I mean? Like you've kind of got to do it your own way, and we just know who we are. And the players that we want. And so that helps that we're that way, I think, and just kind of know what we're looking for.
How is the AAU scene out there recruiting, like when you guys go down to Texas? Mm-hmm. How is that? I bet you see some wild stuff.
Oh, yeah, man. The size and athleticism of high school kids. Like I remember, being in high school, it's like, man, if you have 2 or 3 guys that could dunk it, it was like, this is an athletic team. You know what I mean? Up here in Kansas. Then you go down to Texas and you watch a layup line and guys are going between the legs and dunking. Like, it is unreal. Like, I remember I watched Vince Carter in this first dunk contest where he's like catching it off the ground and going between his legs and dunking. Well, now you're seeing high school kids doing that. Like, what mutants are these people? You know what I mean? Like, and I think you go down to Texas and I think it ends up being like a population thing. You know what I mean? Like, the population of Dallas, just Dallas-Fort Worth area, is like 3 times bigger than the whole state of Kansas. Right? So like just from a pure population standpoint, you're going to have more people in that area that are going to be bigger, more athletic, all of those kinds of things. And then they play year round. Like Kansas, your coaches can't coach you at certain times. July 15th to November 10th or whatever the start date is, that time's off in Kansas. Well, in Texas, they have an athletic period that beginning of the school year starts, they are going to, instead of PE, it's like they're practicing. Like during that PE time, they're playing tournaments in the fall as a high school team. So like they're getting development that we're not getting in Kansas, just as from a player's perspective. And listen, we've had a ton of success with Kansas kids. Like we've had guys from Dewbey and all that kind of stuff that have been really, really good players. But you go down to Texas and you see some guys that are just like, and Eric and I will say it quite a bit. It's like, holy cow, like if this guy was in Kansas, people would be losing their mind. Like, and no one is recruiting this guy. Like, if you picked him up and you put him at Newton High School, people would be coming all over the place to watch him play and going crazy about how good he is. But because he's in some place in Dallas, like you just don't hear about him. And so, yeah, the scene down there is nuts. And that's why those big tournaments, Texas is probably the most recruited state in the country at this point, like Texas, California, because Texas is just ahead of everybody else right now. Because sports is a big deal. Like they hold a lot of value in their sports stuff. And that starts at a young age with kids. So if your kids are, 6, 7, 8, like they need to be getting like a ton of basketball stuff. Well, in Texas, they're doing that. In Kansas, it's like, we'll wait until they're 11 or 12 before we really get like serious about it. Like they're serious 5 years earlier. And they got size and athleticism too. So it's like the number of players that you watch down there, it's like, holy cow, like we would take 30 of these guys at this AAU tournament. And then you try to weed out and figure out, okay, who's got Division II offers, who's got no offers, what are they looking for, what are they looking at, like, so you're calling these guys and trying to figure everything out and seeing, because at the lower levels you have to see who you can get, because it's easy to spot the guys that are like the Division I player, like he's dunking all over some guy, and we've gone down to tournaments where it's like this guy has no offers and we're actively watching him, and we don't want him to play well. Because if he plays really well, guess who's not getting him anymore? Bethel College. You know what I mean? And so it's tough because it's like you don't want him to play well, but then you also want to see him do one or two things to like prove that he's actually a decent player. And so it's a very like fine line of like what you're looking like at the AAU side of things to see who you can get. And so it ends up being you're watching the body language, you're watching like the other things while you're down there. But it's awesome. Like it's fun to go to that stuff and just see all the different players and try to envision, man, what would this guy look like in our program? What we could do with him, like, and get excited about those guys. So.
When you go down to these big AAU tournaments, do you have a group of guys that you're going to watch, or do you have less and then go down with an open mind saying, all right, we're going to see a lot of talent here. Let's figure it out here.
It's a little bit of like, okay, we have guys in mind, and then we have programs that we've recruited from before. So like we maybe have a relationship with an AAU coach, or they'll text us or call us and say, hey, can you come down and watch our guys? Like I drove down to Dallas yesterday and back yesterday to go run an AAU program, like practice. Wow. That are some of our former players. Their dad runs it. Now they coach them. So they asked me to come down sometime this summer. I'm running out of time, so I had to get it done. And I wasn't going to miss the podcast. So I had to make sure
You're the man.
I had to make sure I was back for that.
Thank you. Important stuff.
Yeah, important things. 12 hours on the road later.
We owe you.
Yeah,
we do.
But I think that like you go down with a general idea of kind of who you're looking for, but then you're going to watch a game for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you see somebody that stands out. You see somebody that looks like a college player. Now you're going to watch a little bit more. And there's a facility there, the Duncanville Fieldhouse, that 6 courts. There's 3 on this side, and there's like a big wall, and you go on the other side, and there's 3 courts over there, or 4 courts, I think, 4 and 4, and you just walk down the courts and you're watching. And a lot of times they have a certain court that's like, this is the high level guys, like the D1 guys. Like we don't waste. If I go to sit on a court and I see K-State, Texas, Louisville, okay, I need to go find another court. I need to find some guys that are maybe look a little bit more like us, and we just go try to find and watch that. And you say, man, there's a guy, and you'll kind of make a note, and then you maybe go back. And the nice thing now is like you have internet, so like I might find a kid. I'm like, I kind of like the way he does things. I'm gonna go check his high school highlights out. And now you just go Google his name, pull up his highlights. Now his highlights show you what as a ceiling he could be, because you're seeing how athletic he is. You're seeing what his shot looks like. You're seeing how quick he is, how he moves, all that kind of stuff at his absolute best. Then you're asking their coach for some game film or whatever else to try to get a determination of like how good they are. And so you just get that initial look and the in-person body language stuff and all that kind of stuff. But then you do so much more like online. And with film, I think, because it's just hard to tell. Like a kid can play great, or there could be a kid that has a great attitude one game and then he gets ejected the next game. But you weren't at the second game; you're only at the first one. You know what I mean? And so you just mark off these guys that you see, and then you go try to do as much research on them. I think when we get back and get that all kind of compiled into a big list, and we rate all these guys. So we rate them on athleticism, shooting, and like we have a big, rubric that we basically run through. We rate these guys. We look at positions of need. I mean, we try to make it, as data driven as possible. But it's not always data, but we want to at least have some data points that we can look back and say, let's compare these guys. Let's see who my top 5 shooters are. Who do we have the top highest rated shooters? So then we can look at like the positions that we need and kind of get that. That's a long way of answering kind of how the recruiting process goes for us and going to these tournaments and stuff.
Are these tournaments filmed? Are they filmed? Like, can you publicly consume them? Like, if you can't make a tournament, are you able to pull it up on your computer and watch it? Or do they have rules against that?
Yeah, a lot of them have like Baller TV, which is an online thing. It's great. Like, if you absolutely can't make it and you really want to see them a little bit, but it's like the angle of the game is tough. It's kind of tough to see. I think it's hard to make like a real determination, like to get like a live game like that. That makes it tough on us trying to see it. Just the angle is tough. Like you can watch it if you're a fan because you can see the scoring, you can see whatever. But as a coach, I think for me, maybe other coaches are better at it, but I just have a hard time watching like the Baller TV stuff and feeling like I'm getting good info on a player. I think, but it's available for sure.
Gotcha. Do you ever run into big time coaching brass on the?
Yeah,
on the
I mean,
recruiting
there's trying to think. Danny Manning walked past us just here in Wichita at one of the Next Pro events. Like you have, I mean, I think 1 year you're sitting 2 rows in front of Bill Self and Jeremy Case. Like there's now when I say run
Think
into
you could
them,
help us get Bill Self on the pod?
Yeah. When I was just gonna say
put in a word for it.
When I say run into him, I meant like I look at him, I say, oh my god, Bill Self's up there. Like not me going and chatting with him because I'm sure they love that when these little NAIA coaches come over and chat them up. But but like there's some guys out there that they'll be Division I coaches and they will talk to you and like they ask how things going, ask where you're from, all this kind of stuff. And so you do that a little bit. Like you'll get some, especially like the mid-major, low majors, or the assistants. They'll be really friendly with stuff, which is cool. And so you get a little bit of those things. One of our former players is a GA at K-State. And so he got a little tour for us. We got to meet some of the coaches up at K-State and all that kind of stuff. So you get a little bit of that, but it's not, there's some coaches that definitely go down there to network and try to get their next job and chat up all these guys. I'm not like that. I wish I could network. I wish I could. I just cannot figure it out. It feels so fake to me that I would rather just be me and just hang out and talk to somebody.
You'd hate LinkedIn.
Oh yeah. I keep getting these emails because at one point in time I signed up for LinkedIn and I keep getting these LinkedIn emails and I'm like, my gosh. And you see these people's pages.
It's the
congrats on the
fakest
new
stuff.
job.
Oh.
It's like this guy's never spoke to this person in their life and.
Oh
yeah.
It's vomit inducing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The fake stuff drives me crazy. But the guys that move up fast, they're doing it. Like that's the thing is the people that move up fast, they're going crazy on it. I mean, they're commenting on everybody's stuff and you get that little dopamine spike because you got 500 comments on your promotion. And so it makes you feel good when you see that Eric Reed commented on my post that I'm now the janitor at Bethel. Makes you feel good about that, right? So I think there's something different about it. I don't enjoy it personally, but that's probably why I will just kind of be where I'm at, which is okay with me.
yeah, definitely. Do you often run into any of the Kansas D1s? You say you ran into Self, but you ever see Tang or Paul Mills?
I saw Tang at the Next Pro in Wichita. There was like a JUCO event going on, and he kind of came through and walked and sat. And so you'll kind of see those guys in passing, but it just kind of depends on the event you're at. And like I said, like we don't really want to be in the same gym as those guys. Like it's cool to say I've seen them, but it doesn't help our program win because you're just spending time watching these guys that would be a pipe dream to ever have a chance at. And so we'll see him in the hallways or you kind of walk past him. And at first it was like, I remember when I first became a head coach, I'm like, oh my gosh, like look at did you see that guy over there? Like, and now it's just kind of, okay, you see him and you move on and whatever. But they're people too, even though they're more important people than I am. But at the end of the day, we don't really rub elbows with him or anything like that. So
Gotcha. It seems like the old guard is phasing out. At least at the D1 level.
Oh man, well think about if you
Jay
did a
Wright,
job.
Boeheim.
Yeah, if you did a job for 25, 30 years.
Even like Saban.
Yeah.
Krzyzewski,
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. And you did that same job for 30 years and then all of a sudden we introduce something that is a massive interrupter to your
success.
And you all of a sudden have to completely change what you've done. Before, your coaching was about the people. It was about the sport. Now you're coaching, instead of going people, sport, whatever, alumni, now it's money, maybe alumni because you have to get that money for the players. Then it's probably sport and then it's people because your relationships have just kind of, everything's kind of become transactional. And I think I've heard a lot of coaches, they'll talk about all that stuff. And it's like, the first time I talked to a player, it's like, okay, well, what's the NIL going to look like? For me. And imagine being someone like Jay Wright who really values the development of players. And we could probably agree that probably top 2 or 3 development coaches, maybe ever, from a player standpoint. And so you really value that, well, all of a sudden, if a kid doesn't play as a freshman, you're going to have, at Villanova, you're going to have St. John right down the road saying, dude, just come here and play. Come here and play as a sophomore. Well, then that kid's going to leave. And so what you're really good at, developing human beings, developing players, all of a sudden, that's a lot harder to do. And it's just, everything just becomes a transaction. And it's something that's like, you know what? I've had my time. I've enjoyed it. And I don't want to put words in their mouth because I don't know what their reasons are necessarily. But, like, I don't blame them for wanting to get out at it because it's tough. When you hear a player, I know we go through it, like we hear a player is going to transfer. That's hard. Like, it's hard because a player is basically telling you, yeah, I don't think your program is what's best for me anymore. And it's like, man, that kind of cuts you a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, man, I feel like this is a really good program for you. Like, I feel like you could have a big, impact here. And so those guys, I think, probably were just, maybe I'm going to retire in 3 years, but now that there's NIL, I'm just going to do it now and just get it out of the way. And hopefully they're enjoying their retirement. I can't, we're reading for our book study at Bethel, reading a Nick Saban book right now. And it is one of the best things I've ever read. And to just see how driven, I walk out.
What's it called?
Keys to Winning or something like that. Or I'd have to look it up. But he, I walk out of every meeting just thinking, what a lazy piece of crap I am. Like, this dude is insane. Every edge, like they were talking about when he first took over the job at Alabama, he called a meeting with everyone that worked in the athletic department, from the janitors to the secretaries to everything else. And he explained to them, you are a massive part of winning. Because if one of my recruits come here and their parents go to the bathroom and the trash can is full or there's bugs on the floor, they're not coming here. And you're as big a part of winning as almost anybody else around here because that matters. Receptionists, how you answer the phone, that matters because everybody's going to get that first impression of what your phone call should sound like. If you say, oh, hello, this is Alabama, but that's a lot different than, hi, this is Alabama, how can I help you? Like that's the impression. So he's so good at all those little details, and then holding everybody to a high standard, which is awesome. Like I walk out of that book study every day, or I listen to it on Audible. I've done it twice now actually, but I listen to it and I'm just like, holy cow! Like, we've got to do better in this and this and this. Like, it motivates you as a coach to try to do more, do better. Every little thing matters. But it's pretty cool. And I think those guys that were great at it, it sucks having them out of the game. And the game's going to miss them, but college game is just different now. Everything's different. Conference realignment. I mean, I get sad when I think of the rivalries that are no longer. Like, it just doesn't feel the same, and it's maybe me just being nostalgic and all that stuff. But it's like college athletics felt like college athletics at a point, and then it slowly morphed into like more of a business, more of professional athletics disguised as college. And I think that's tough when you've done it that way your whole life, and all of a sudden it's different now.
For sure.
It sure was an abrupt change,
Yeah, it felt like it, where it's like, man, all their leadership secrets of Nick Saban. There we go.
Oh, nice.
So, big shout out on the quick work over there.
Yeah, Blake, quick work.
Not only can Blake play fantasy football well, but he is good with a computer. But yeah, I just think that it felt overnight, didn't it?
Yep.
So Jalen, our guy, was kind of the first NIL at Charleston. And he was kind of saying, like, he made, I don't want to say exactly how much, but it was like low-level thousands. And then if he went there now, it'd be six figures. You know what I mean? And so the jump in it all has happened in just the blink of an eye. And how, like, think about when you were younger, if a player transferred, what was your thought process on that player?
It was a big deal when people transferred because you had to sit out.
Yeah.
So something was really going wrong. For some, like when somebody would transfer out of WSU, it felt like a huge deal.
Newsworthy. And they'd be talking about it forever.
Wow, something went really bad here.
Yeah, yep. And now it's almost the expectation.
Right.
Oh, man, these guys are staying? Like, holy cow, This is awesome. We got 4 guys coming back.
Right.
I mean, it has changed, and that's a 4 or 5 year time that's happened in. So it's it's happened quick. And if you don't adapt or maybe don't want to adapt to it, it's easy to get out for sure.
Yeah. Wichita State has a completely new team this year. They have 12 new faces. 12.
Yeah. Well, they might have needed 12 new faces.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
Yeah, they might.
yeah. But then the issue with that, and I think at our level, like once you go 12 new transfers, when do you just stop going 12 new transfers? You know what I mean? Like at some point in time, you're going to have to hang on to some people to like get a little continuity in your program. And it's like, okay, I know we're big on recruiting high school kids. Like we love recruiting high school kids and seeing them develop and all that stuff. But if we had 1 year where it's like, hey, we need to bring in 5 transfers because our guys aren't good enough. Well, all of a sudden, we're bringing 5 transfers. Well, now you don't have anybody in that freshman class that's going to be ready to play as a sophomore, right? So, well, shoot, now we have nobody in our sophomore class. Let's go get some transfers to fill in that sophomore class. Well, now your seniors and sophomores, those are all transfer players, even the ones maybe you held on to as juniors or whatever else. And it's like now your whole roster is just transfers. And they're in and out. Like it's a year-to-year deal anymore. And I am amazed at the coaches that can take 1-year transfers and make them a cohesive unit. Chris Wright, who's an NAIA coach at Langston, they get transfers all the time, and he does a great. Like they're one of the top teams in the country every year. I don't know how he does it, honestly. Like you're getting all these transfers in. I mean, now their kids are unbelievably talented. Like this is a kid that goes to Georgetown and went there and whatever else. Like they're crazy, crazy talented, but like you still have to try to set a culture with a bunch of guys that have left somewhere else and now they're here, and they probably came here because you're saying, hey, you're going to come here and you're going to dominate. Like you're going to get the ball a ton. You're going to score a bunch. And now every guy's coming in thinking that. Well, now when you're asking somebody to sacrifice, hey, listen, man, like we need you to rebound. We need you to set some screens, whatever it is. Like now it becomes a little bit tougher because you were kind of fed one thing and now you're getting something else. And I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I wish I need to go learn from them and do a better job of that. But we've just been so, high school heavy in recruiting and development heavy that we haven't had to do a bunch of that yet, but there might be a time when we have to. And so we're going to have to hopefully never. Maybe we'll be good enough and keep recruiting high school kids well enough that we don't have to. But there's going to be a time when we got to figure out how we're going to do it and get all that stuff going in 1 year.
Do you think there's any regulation coming down the line to kind of slow down the transfer?
I personally hope so. I think one-time transfer is fine. I think the second time, I think we need to start making kids like sit out or whatever else. And I think that'll chill out the NIL a little bit. Like the NIL is just, it is gone. Like we were saying, if we would have introduced NIL earlier and not had the transfer rule, would have been awesome. Like think about how great that is. You're recruiting, getting the best high school kids. Now maybe they're staying in college instead of going to the NBA. If they're a borderline second round pick, we'll just stay in college, make money, and try to become a first round pick the next year. But we opened NIL and transferring at the same time, and it's like it became the Wild West. Like there's no rules, there's no nothing. Like you are just out there and figuring it out. So I'm hoping that now we start to maybe rein it in and limit maybe the number of transfers, or you have some buyouts that maybe you're incorporating into some of these NIL deals.
Yeah.
Where it's, hey, if you're going to go get somebody from a mid-major, that's a $150,000 buyout. Because then they can use that buyout money to go get another player to basically then hopefully keep things going for those, because they're just right now just getting all their kids taken at the lower levels. And I think March Madness, you didn't see as many upsets this year. Like if I look back at the bracket, my bracket was awful.
Yeah, it was pretty chalk.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah. It's pretty straight through, and that's one of the first times in forever that's really happened. It was all 1 seeds, right in the Final Four. That's the first time since 2008, when KU was the greatest team in college basketball history, I believe, if my notes are correct here.
Oh no, that Anthony Davis Kentucky team is pretty good.
yeah, that team broke my heart. I wasn't sure we were ever going to score on them in that game. But yeah, I think, you have that, and it's everything's just changed so fast. So I think we're going to have to do something to rein it in. I've even heard word, coming down the pipe is a little bit, increasing eligibility of years. So you give kids 5 years, but then you give a 2-year, 2-time transfer or 1-time transfer. So then if you do sit out a year, you still get 4 years of playing. if that makes sense. So you could transfer more than once, but now you get the extra year of eligibility, which I would love the 5-year eligibility because at the level that we're at, it'd be awesome to be like, dude, just come here, play for 4 years, go play at a Division I, which we had a player in our conference go D1. Like there's probably 15 to 20 NAIA players that go play Division I basketball every year.
That's kind of what it was, though, right? Remember, because I remember guys, we come into WC, they play 4 years at another school, then they get that grad transfer. So that's kind of reverting back to almost what it was in a way.
Yeah. So it's like the COVID years. So when we had COVID, and it's like you had the grad transfer stuff. A lot of times before that, I think they had to have redshirted before to get the grad transfer, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the COVID year was awesome. Like that was great. Everybody got the 1 extra year. Kind of use it how you want to. And now that kids are getting paid, like give them that 1 extra year of earnings, which also allows them to find the right place. Like I think you add that in, you add the transfer limit, and you add a little bit of some kind of I don't know if there's a cap or whatever else on how much your athletic department can provide for NIL, because now your NIL can go through athletic departments. So I don't know if they're going to maybe cap that at some point so that way you don't end up with a Major League Baseball situation where you've got the Dodgers. They're going to outspend everybody. The Yankees, they're going to outspend everybody. They're going to have the best teams every year just because they go and outspend. But I guess the one nice thing about basketball is like money has not necessarily equaled success to this point. Think about how much money KU just spent. And as a lifelong KU fan, this is one of their worst. Last couple of years has been one of their worst years when they spent all that money on NIL. They're probably one of the top. K-State was number 1 or 2 in the country, NIL.
Yeah.
And we watched them lose to Drake. And they got waxed by Wichita State, right? Like,
yeah, they did last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always, Miguel, our guy is the GA up there. So Wichita State then beat Friends, who's in our conference, by 12. And so I told him, I said, hey man, I think we might be better than K-State. You guys lost by 30. You guys lost by 30 and Friends.
I have
Friends
no idea
stayed
how
close
that
to
happened.
Yeah.
WSU whooping K-State like that.
Yeah.
Basketball's weird, man.
Basketball is a weird sport. You can lose. Well, look at NBA playoffs. Like you'll have a game where a 30-point game, and the next game you'll lose by 20. Like basketball is such a bizarre thing, which makes it so fun. Like March Madness is awesome because somebody gets hot. Ollie Farouk-Manesh.
Yeah.
Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
You get hot, and all of a sudden your great KU team is going home, and so no.
Yeah, he sent the Morris twins packing.
Yeah, he did. It was that shot is ingrained. Which he's a great coach now. I think he's head coach of Colorado State now. Ollie Farouk-Manesh.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
Taking over there. I think their coach left to go take another job.
He did. He went to Minnesota, I think.
Yep. And so now he's taken over there, and I think he's kind of done a good job of climbing up the coaching ladder and everything. But yeah.
Such a rhythmic game.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a confidence game. It's a rhythmic game. It is. And we see it even in practice. As we'll finish our practice with a 30-point scrimmage, and if our second team hits their first 2 threes, all of a sudden you just feel the top team kind of get a little tighter, and the bottom team, oh my gosh, everything is going in. Like now you're just hooping. And when you're just hooping, like the ball goes in more. And when you're playing tight and you're scared to shoot or you're scared to make a play, then all of a sudden things go bad and then you lose. And it's are you guys KU fans or Wichita State? Are you both Wichita State?
WSU.
Yeah.
We've been season ticket holders forever.
Oh, okay.
So we're WSU.
Yeah.
People.
So think about back when WSU was like good, and you're thinking, listen, we're trying to go to the Final Four now because it's kind of become the norm, getting to the Final Four and or at least a obtainable possibility. Right. Well, then they run into Kentucky in round 2, and you're like the favorite. Think about how tight you felt as a fan watching that game.
Oh, yeah.
And then you think those players are probably feeling the same way because a lot of them, it's like, my God, this is my senior year. We're undefeated.
Yeah, and they were undefeated.
Yeah, we're undefeated.
Right.
Guys,
undefeated.
We need to be in the championship game this year.
Right.
And we can't score right now. And then all of a sudden you start to play a little tighter. And there's just so much pressure on that one and done NCAA tournament game. And you see it every year where guys are, get tight and they can't make a 3 and the other team's just running around jacking up Oakland. Think of Oakland, they had that real good shooter.
Yeah, Jack Golke.
Yeah. And going crazy. And it was just kind of like the same thing. Like Golke's just firing that thing. And nobody on Kentucky is shooting like that. Like they're all kind of trying to almost force the ball in the basket. And so when you start doing that, it gets to be little dicey as a player.
Yeah.
And as a fan, as a coach, I mean, everybody can feel it in that moment. It's almost impossible to get out of it unless you have like a massive momentum swinging dunk, three, whatever it is. You need that 6-0 run to like relax you. And if the 6-0 run never comes, then it's just like get tight that last 2 or 3 minutes, and all of a sudden you're losing.
And we were on the opposite side of that when we played Gonzaga when they were the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Like the first, I guess it would have been the second, but really the launching pad for that Wichita State run was that Wichita State team just couldn't. They were hitting everything against Gonzaga that year when they were the 1 seed, and they weren't undefeated, but they probably had 1 or 2 losses.
Yep.
And it felt free.
Yeah,
Felt free being
it's
a
a
fan.
great feeling when you're the underdog, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels awesome. Feels awesome. But
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, we were actually, you brought up that Kentucky game. We were there for that. Yeah, we were in the building.
savage.
It was
savage.
horrible.
Yeah,
It was a horrible drive home. Oh, my God. Undefeated season. Just, one of the funnest seasons I've had as a fan of any
I
sports
bet.
team. And then
And it hurt because they really played. WSU really played pretty well in that game.
It was a
Kentucky
great
just beat
game.
them.
Well,
They played better.
the
game.
the tourney committee.
Blake got us out of Cleanthony early.
Oh, shout out Clee Anthony Early right
was
there.
Phenomenal at
the
WSU.
tournament committee kind of stuck it to you guys a little bit by putting Kentucky as an 8 or whatever, or I don't know if they're 1 or 2, but put them in the second round, basically saying like, okay, here you go, guys. Like this is your gift for being undefeated. Like what the heck?
That was just the thing with Kentucky, during the Calipari years is you never knew what you were going to get from them game to game because they were so young.
Yeah,
their
young.
potential was the high was what they did against WSU, and the low was the reason they're an 8 seed.
Yeah, basically what they've done all season.
Right.
Or up and down,
Right.
win one, lose one, whatever. Yeah, Calipari is always going to be crazy talented. Like every team he's had has been unbelievably talented. Some years they didn't put it together, and then some years they did and win a national championship with freshmen and sophomores. But they were definitely a scary one second round. If I'm a Wichita State fan and I saw that, I was thinking, oh my gosh,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I hope they get back to being at least on the bubble.
Yeah.
At least, March comes around, they have a shot to making the tournament.
So let me ask you this, and I don't watch enough Wichita State to know. So what is missing? Because their coach that's here now had showed success
Paul Mills.
at a previous school.
Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts, where it's like you have probably less facilities, less money, less everything, and you're successful, and then you come to Wichita and you've struggled a little bit. What is kind of the reasoning behind that?
I think they're not getting the talent they got under Greg Marshall. I think Greg Marshall was maybe a once in a lifetime for WSU recruiter.
Yeah.
Name off the guys from the team that lost to Marshall. You had Austin Reeves, Landry Shamet, Connor Frankcamp, Shaquille Morris.
Yeah, they had like all 6, 7 when they lost to Marshall University in the first round tournament. They were
2 guys that are still in the NBA. And Connor Frankcamp.
And one guy's going to get has gotten a massive contract in Austin Reeves.
Right.
Going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a number 3 on
those
on
guys
a
were.
team.
That was all. Those 4 guys. Shaq, who Shaq Morris is?
Yep.
Yeah. Those 4 were 4 of the 5 starters for a Wichita State team that lost in the first round.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yep. Well, I mean, it's the same thing as like we'd go back and it's March Madness is weird. If they play Marshall best of 7, they probably handle Marshall. You know what I mean? Like, but the tournament's so weird. Like, think about you've got guys that are accountants. No offense, for northern Iowa. That go and beat these KU guys that played in the NBA for 15 years, the Morris twins, and it's like those guys don't belong in the same court as KU, but somehow it happens. In basketball, the ball still has to go in the basket.
Yep. Another reason, just from people I've talked to, like we've had a track assistant coach at WSU, so they do kind of WSU NIL. He kind of knows things about it, and then Taylor as well. I think it was a real bad deal. Obviously, the way that Marshall ended, and then COVID hit. And then I think there was at least 1 year, where NIL was here. And WSU, the AD at the time, just kind of turned a blind eye and just hoped it would go away. So I think when other teams had NIL, WSU did not.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest reason that WSU is still bad.
Yeah.
I don't think they've been able to fully recover from that. And I don't think they're going to get the quality of player that they got under Marshall. Because Marshall recruiting could get them there. Now
Yeah.
it's money. Money's going to get guys here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I remember when NIL became a thing, it was like, oh, Wichita State, like, you should have plenty of money.
You would think.
You got the Koch brothers.
Yeah, a lot of money in this town.
Those guys are, but I don't know, and I've heard outside things of, like, maybe they're frustrated that Greg Marshall got let go, and so they're maybe a little disenfranchised by the whole thing or whatever. But, yeah, you would think that, especially in your league that you're in, you've got Koch brother money. You ought to be able to be competing for a championship every single year.
You would think.
Yeah.
But I think they were very late to NIL.
And I think, I don't think we have to be insiders to know that they're not getting Koch brother money.
Yeah.
They might be getting some money, but if they're getting Koch brother money, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Yep. You would have every guy that is transferring from a high major would probably come to Wichita State. Like, that'd be the type of players you would be looking for. So it's like, you got somebody transferring from a KU. Okay, let's go grab this guy. Like, let him come here because he's probably transferring because he didn't play a ton or whatever else. Now we're going to go throw a bunch of money at him. Now all of a sudden you get 2 or 3 of those guys, 4 of those guys. You're probably pretty good because you at least have talent.
Yep.
And I don't think it helps that we're paying 3 basketball coaches right now, too.
Yeah.
One being Paul Mills and then Isaac Brown and Greg Marshall.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
That doesn't
You're bleeding a lot of money.
Yeah.
And facilities, have they done a recent facility upgrade?
Fred Van Fleet gave money. He donated. They have a new weight room.
Okay.
I don't know. They have another like student center that you see when you walk in that I think is pretty new.
Okay.
But
I was just curious if that's where maybe some of the donor money was going, maybe to the facility upgrade.
I just don't know.
I feel like every time you see a team have a good run in the next 3 or 4 years, you get a massive facility upgrade.
Yeah.
So it's like when Wichita State made their big run, I would assume there'd be some kind of a big facility upgrade that would have followed that. Then maybe that's where the donor money went. So then when NIL came, it's like, well, we tapped our donors out with the all this stuff, and now all of a sudden we've got to get back to NIL.
Again, I'm not clued in or anything, but I didn't see anything. And years ago, like Paul Mills, he had that Elite 8 run with Oral Roberts. Max Asmus, great guard. He averaged like the most points in the country, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Typically, you would see a coach leave and their best player would follow.
Yep.
He didn't follow. He went to Texas, obviously, because Texas is going to offer way more.
Yeah, way more money. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a combination of things, a combination of bad that really impacted WSU all at once.
Yep. You would like to think if you start getting more support, you get the support comes back and people start putting something into it.
Yeah.
Maybe then like the success could follow, but it's like your point.
It's not going to happen that way.
Yeah, to your point, they want to see. They probably want to see a team they can get behind. I think that was always like the play angry. Like that's what Wichita State fans want to see. Is like they want to see a team that is playing like that. Like those guys played like their hair was on fire. So you as a fan can appreciate it and appreciate that like it looks that way and it's fun to watch. So now maybe I'm going to give some money to this thing.
Yeah.
Right now, in the little bit I've watched of them, I don't get the sense like that's what you're looking at and saying, okay, this is what I really appreciate as a fan. Like this is fun for me to watch.
Right. We're not getting the connection with the players either because Wichita State has to be one of at the top of the list that's been impacted most by the portal. Mm-hmm. People are in and out of Wichita State all the time. They're in a year, then they're gone. We're just cycling through it. Wichita State, at least to my eyes, it seems like the players see Wichita State as a stepping stone. Yeah. When under Marshall, it was not a stepping stone.
Yep. And I think that's mid-majors have become that. Sure. You know what I mean? It's just where it's like, hey, I hope I can go there and kill it for a year.
Do my time. And then.
Yep. It's almost like a JUCO grad program.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
Yeah, like you've got the mid-majors.
Which is really sad.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, that's just the landscape of things have changed so much. So you need to find a few guys that can really give you a really good year, and then all of a sudden the NIL money comes and you can hang on to them.
And you just got to get that good. It's easy to say you just got to have that good year, but we're on year 4 or 5 of it, and
this will be Paul Mills' 3rd year.
It's lightning in a bottle at Wichita State to have a good year. I mean, you just got to nail it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not a big baseball fan, but it's kind of like if you're the Royals, like when the stars align, you got to maximize that run.
Right.
It's probably going to be the same thing, and I've heard like Paul Mills talk in some podcasts and stuff, and I think the guy can coach. Like, I think he is a good coach. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's not a level playing field anymore. The way it was 5 or 6 years ago, where it was basically a level playing field. Like, kids might go to a bigger school because of facilities or whatever else, but you're basically getting the same thing. But now, if the NIL is not being funded in the way that it needs to be, you're going to have a hard time, hard time being really successful.
Yeah. And Paul Mills has taken on, I mean, you call it what it is. I think it was a dumpster fire, what WSU was when Paul Mills took over. So give him time. He's got a brand new team. Yep. This is year 3 now. So let's start seeing some improvement, and I'm confident we will. So.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think in all of his stops, he's just found a way to get it done.
Yeah.
And it seems like
he can obviously coach.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of time before Wichita State figures it out. You just hope, because I know how hard it is. I think recruiting transfers is maybe harder than high school kids, because the high school side, you get to talk to all these people that are currently coaching them. Hey, what's their attitude like? What's this? Like, you get to know more of who they are. Well, at the college level, am I going to call their previous coach who transferred? Like, that previous coach isn't going to tell me the truth about this kid. Maybe their AAU coach, I can call their high school coach, but maybe that's 3 years ago. This kid's a completely different person. And so I hope that they're going to buy into what's going on. But I think transfers, you can either really hit or you can really miss. Mm-hmm. And that's been our experience even at the NAIA level. It's like, man, you get some transfers and it's like, this guy's legit. He's going to be a great player. Or, not quite what we were kind of hoping for. And not to say anything negative about any transfers we've gotten, but it's just like, you look even at our all-conference stuff at the NAIA level, like, we don't get first-team all-conference guys as a transfer. Almost all the first-team all-conference guys are in their second or third year. They could have been a transfer, but they're second-year transfers. And I think it takes 2 years to kind of get comfortable, to learn that system. Think about all the stuff that happens in a game of basketball from a decision-making perspective, from I'm running this play, we're doing this and this and this, whatever it is. That probably doesn't become automatic for you until year 2. But if these transfers keep leaving every year, you never get to the year 2 and see like the fruit of the labor that you spend with those guys. So I'm hopefully Wichita State can get some guys to stick around and get some continuity going. And I think you'll see if they can do that, then I bet they make a pretty big improvement.
Think about what you said earlier about comparing attitude versus talent. Paul Mills, he's in year 3. He doesn't get that privilege. You know, it's got to be talent.
Yeah.
Because you have 1 year basically to prove it. He obviously will pay attention to attitude, but if the guy's good, he's running out of time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the tough part. It's like the analogy that people use of like the bar is shutting down in 30 minutes and you're trying to find a girlfriend. Where it's like,
right.
Hey, when it's 11:30 at night, listen, I'm only looking at the 8s and above, and then all of a sudden, all the 8s and above have somehow left the bar, and I'm working with the solid 4s, and I've got to get somebody in here that can fill these spots, because when you're recruiting transfers, you look like Paul Mills knows who will help him. Like, he's looking at it and knows who's going to help him, but he might miss on those guys. So now you're going to the second and third option who you're not really maybe even in love with as the coach. Like, you're saying, we'll take him, but man, I just don't feel good about it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you don't have a choice to like say, yeah, we're going to be really picky here. Because now that everybody's left, what are you going to do? Bring in an entire group of freshmen and just say, hey, we're going to play freshmen versus juniors, seniors are going to get killed. Like, so you're trying to make the best of what you can get. And you get desperate in that situation. And when you get desperate, you don't recruit well. Like, every guy that we have signed, like, super late in that situation has not panned out as well as we thought. Where we're kind of like, he was our maybe third or fourth choice. Like, it doesn't work out for us. And I'm sure they're the same way. So.
Gotcha. Well, Tori, you got anything? Coach, you got anything for us?
I do not. I enjoyed it. This is a blast.
Likewise.
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
Awesome.
Likewise. Thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
You're a wealth of knowledge.
Well,
There's a reason that Bethel's had the success it has.
For sure.
Might be the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. Wealth of knowledge and me has not been put in the same sentence very many times. So I'm gonna put that on my tombstone. I think.
There you
I
go.
realized Jayson Artaz. Once someone said he had a wealth of knowledge.
Yep.
I think I'll just put that.
Dewbey Bros Pod.
Yeah, TDB.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.